Uh, Since the chair position is currently vacant, I will preside over the first three agenda items this evening. Anthony Mejia, the city clerk, will preside over agenda item 4, nomination and election of officers. With that, I'm calling the meeting to order. I'll lead the Pledge of Allegiance this evening. Would you please mute your microphones, stand up, and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Just want to let you know that the agenda has been posted as required. But before Nadia takes roll, I'd like to acknowledge and welcome two new appointees to the commission, Scott Miller from the city of Palm Springs and Thomas Wheel from the city of Rancho Mirage. Welcome to the commission. Additionally, Jeff Clarkson, city of Palm Springs, resigned from the commission effective today. So I want to thank Commissioner Clarkson for his participation in the commission since his appointment in July of 2017. And most recently as chair of the Noise Committee. So thank you. I want to thank him very much for that. Nadia, would you please take roll?
Yes. Commissioners Adams.
Present.
Breslin. Budillo. Burke.
Present.
Corcoran.
Here.
Dada.
Here.
Feltman.
Here.
Freemuth. Hedrick.
Here.
Hearn.
Here.
Thank you. Hughes.
Here.
Martin. Miller.
Here.
Philbrook.
Here.
Pye.
Here.
Weil. I'm sorry. Schmitz.
Here.
And Suero.
Here.
Thank you.
Nadia, this is Commissioner Budillo. I was here. I was on mute. I don't know whether you heard me or not. Probably not, since the microphone was off.
Thank you. Very
Nadia, do we have a quorum?
We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. We will now move on to item 4, elections. I'll turn it over to Anthony Mejia, our city clerk.
Good evening, airport commissioners. Before I go through the rules related to the nomination process, it's my understanding that you all have been blind carbon copied on an email from Mr. Clarkson, and that may have raised some concerns for a few commissioners who would like to postpone the nomination process for an additional meeting. I will let you know that initially, and this is related to a alleged Brown Act violation, the city attorney and I have reviewed the initial allegation when it came to our attention and determined that no Brown Act violation has occurred. Yet I still sent a warning to the Airport Commission letting you know about the importance of the Brown Act and to encourage you to forward any communications to your staff liaison. However, there's no need to rush the process for the nomination of the chair. So it's the will of the commission. We can certainly postpone that, and I'll open it up if there's a motion for that.
I'd like to make a motion to postpone the elections on
Did the juice come out?
received by commission today.
Oh.
I'll second.
Okay, so there's a motion to postpone by Commissioner Burke and seconded by Commissioner Hedrick. Nadia, would you mind taking the roll call?
Excuse me. Can we have a discussion on this? And can somebody mute their child? We're having a really important discussion and there's background noise here.
Certainly. So the discussion should be focused on whether or not to proceed with the nomination, not necessarily about the content of the letter, as that's not agendized.
So what's the justification for postponing this election? You're making a motion. Can somebody justify that?
I've made a motion based on the allegations made in the email sent to all commissioners today. I would like to ask that we make a motion that we postpone until we can further understand if the allegations are correct.
What is there to understand? I think it goes to
I've made a motion.
Yeah, okay, but we are discussing it now. I think we should be forthcoming that the allegation was about a supposed offer that was made to you, Mr. Burke, but there was no offer. It was that you were being considered, to postpone this makes no sense as far as I'm concerned. There's no reason for it.
To the city clerk, is this an open to discussion now? Because I thought that we were going to, we had a motion and a second. It seems as though Commissioner Frameth is starting a discussion. Is it a discussion or not?
I'm sorry, there is discussion before we vote.
There is allowed to be discussion before the vote occurs. However, the discussion should focus on the content of whether or not to proceed with nominations, and certainly the rationale for not proceeding with the nomination could be discussed. But again, the depth and the scope of the letter should be deferred until one, the city attorney and others can decide if an investigation is necessary. And two, if it were, just to be clear, that investigation would be for the city council, as they are the authority to review these matters, not the airport commission itself.
Okay, then in that case, may I have the floor? All right. I am not comfortable taking a vote today. If there is, the letter was very unsettling, and I don't think it's fair to have that information in our heads, not knowing whether or not an investigation is going forward. So for those reasons, I would third not having the election today.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I understand you were saying that you found, you and the city attorney found no violations of the Brown Act. Is that correct?
That's correct. On our initial review, there was no actual violation of the Brown Act, and we just issued a warning about the importance of the Brown Act itself.
Right, and so normally we have our vote on the election today, and there's no reason to postpone it.
Well, one vote, three votes.
Patricia, that's a ridiculous comment. We've not taken a vote. So I just find it, interesting and curious that there was an allegation made several weeks or months ago. The city attorney has reviewed it. The city clerk has reviewed with us that outcome of that review. I'm not sure what we're postponing this for, because somebody sent a letter and resigned.
May I respond to that?
Sure.
What unsettles me is that something that was not contained in the original were allegations that should unsettle Peter himself, that he was a go-between and was saying that in effect that the election was fixed. That unsettles me.
The election was fixed in what way?
Yeah, read the letter. I have no way of knowing what way. That's why I want to postpone. I don't want to be unfair to anyone who's running.
So I'm going to call this to order in the sense that we are discussing the contents of the letter and not whether to proceed with nominations.
I apologize.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Pride?
Not discussing the content of the letter, but because you've talked about the Brown Act. At the last meeting, in my comments, I reported about the Brown Act. Also, several of us have violated the Brown Act. So as a suggestion to Nadia, when she sends out an email, and this was one of the things I said, when she sends out an email, she should send it to herself and CC the commission, because several people reply all, and that can be a serial event. I'm done.
Absolutely. So with that, there is a motion and a second. Unless there's further discussion or if somebody calls for the question, we should proceed with the roll call vote.
Thank you.
And I'll ask Nadia if she could please take that roll call vote.
Commissioner Adams,
Delay.
Breslin,
Delay, please.
Budillo,
No delay.
Burke,
Delay.
Corcoran,
No delay.
Dada,
No delay.
Feltman,
No,
Freeman,
No,
Hedrick,
Delay.
Hun. Sorry,
Oh. Rolf's on mute.
Sorry, delay.
delay. Commissioner Hughes,
Delay.
Commissioner Martin. Commissioner Miller,
Abstain.
Philbrook,
No delay.
Commissioner Pai,
No,
Commissioner Weil, Commissioner Schmitz,
No delay.
and Commissioner Swerrow.
No.
Thank you. We have 6 delay and 9 no delay.
So I believe the nominations will proceed. So I will give the instructions. I'd like to begin by providing an overview of the nomination process. In accordance with the Palm Springs Municipal Code, the chairperson will be a member of the City of Palm Springs representation, and any commissioner may be nominated as vice chair. We'll begin by soliciting nominations for chair, and any member may submit a nomination. There's no need for a second. If only one person is nominated, I will seek unanimous consent by asking everyone to indicate aye. If more than one member is nominated, I will begin the process with the first person nominated. I will ask those in favor to say aye, those opposed to say no. If the first candidate receives majority approval, and will end and the candidate will be declared chairperson. Otherwise, we will proceed to the next nominee. I will repeat the same process for vice chair, and once concluded, I will ask for a motion and a second to accept the election results. Before I begin, are there any questions about this process?
I do have one. So there's no abstention if only one candidate.
Certainly. So you can abstain when you ask for unanimous consent. You can abstain. You could also vote no, but it would just be one candidate. So there's really no way to defeat that.
I've got a question. If there's more than one candidate, will there be opportunity for the candidates to address the commission on their experience and why they would like to be chair or why they would like to be vice chair?
That's not in Robert's Rules of Order, but to be fair, if there's one nominee, I would suggest Mr. Hohen is the current vice chair, so I'm going to ask him, would you be amenable to providing the candidates 90 seconds to 2 minutes to provide some statement?
Of course.
Okay, then yes, we'll provide a short opportunity for a statement.
Thank you.
With that, I will open nominations. Again, anybody can nominate. Sorry, I saw Mr. Corcoran.
Yeah, I want to nominate Aftab Dava to be at the head of the Airport Commission. And I thought about this, and here's my rationale. We all know that Aftab has been the GM of the Palm Springs Hilton for over 30 years. This is one of our community's largest hotels and very, very critical to the convention business in the city. He's also the president of the Palm Springs, or has been president of the Palm Springs Hospitality Association, which is the huge advocate for restaurants and hotels for the community. I mean, presently he's chairman of PS Resorts. We know PS Resorts drives all the activities, events that happen here. I also share a board position with him on the Boys and Girls Club of Palm Springs, and have got to see him in action in that role, besides what he's done in the community and also on the Airport Commission. I think during COVID, Aftab was kind of the go-to person to really explain the implications of the pandemic on the local business community. And I think he was also a voice of reason in trying to kind of steer the city and how the city would open up after the pandemic. And I appreciated that and this kind of voice and perspective. We have lots of good news on this commission. You know, the passenger traffic is up, the number of airlines are up, the number of new cities that we service are up, all good news. But I think the challenge we have as a commission is how we're going to maintain this momentum, and not only to fully recover for the pandemic and whatever's happening with the pandemic now, but also how we're going to drive growth for the city and use the airport to really drive business and to drive visitors and the lifestyle and everything else that attracts people to Palm Springs. I think Aftab has a deep understanding of the business community. He has demonstrated leadership in all aspects of tourism, and all of this affects what we do in the Airport Commission. And I think his passion and love for the city more than qualifies him to be our next chairman. So I'd like to nominate him as our chairman moving forward, and appreciate you listening to my perspective.
Thank you.
I'll second that motion, but I can't speak nearly as eloquently as Kevin just did.
I will open it up for any further nominations. To be clear, seeing no further nominations, I will ask for nominations one last time. Seeing none, nominations are closed. With that, I will ask all those in favor of electing Aftab Dada as the chairperson for the International Airport Commission, please say
Aye.
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 all of those opposed.
Nay.
Abstain.
And so I've got Commissioner Burke voting no, and Commissioner Breslin abstaining.
And I'm abstaining as well.
Mr. Miller is abstaining as well. Thank you. So that does conclude the nomination process for chair. I'll open up the nominations for vice chair. Mr. Hedrick?
I'd like to nominate Jan Pye for the position of vice chair. I think she's highly qualified to be a value-added vice chair. I also believe this will be the first time, based on what I can find on the web, that Desert Hot Springs has had a representative, would have served as vice chair. I could be wrong. Ms. Pye has a BA and a master's in accounting and finance, financial management with distinction, and is a community leader. She has been on the Desert Hot Springs City Council for over 20 years. She's chair of the Palm Springs Cemetery District, and she's vice chair of the Regional Access Foundation, which is a 501c3, which helps with unmet health needs and juvenile intervention for residents in Eastern Riverside County through grants and technical assistance. I think she'll do a great job and be a wonderful asset for the commission and for Mr. Dada.
Thank you. Mr. Freemuth?
Yes, I would like to nominate Kevin Corcoran We usually don't have long speeches for the nomination. I can't speak as eloquently as Mr. Corcoran before, but I think he will do a great job being vice chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other further nominations for the position of vice chair?
Yes. I would like to nominate Todd Burke. And I think anyone who has sat in a committee with him will know how fair he is, or on the commission, how open he is, how he recognizes anyone who contributes. And I think he would be a great addition to the panel.
Thank you. And I'll open it up for any further nominations. Last call for further nominations. Nominations are closed. So as I mentioned, we'll begin with the first person nominated. If that person reaches majority, the election will be closed. So for Jan Pry, for all of those in favor of appointing.
Oh, wait.
Mr. Miller, yes.
I'm sorry. Being a new commissioner, and maybe I'm just in the minority on this, I don't know any of these people. Is it possible for a minute or a minute and a half of them to speak, so that at least from myself and for any other new commissioners, I have a sense of who they are and what they hope to accomplish?
Thank you for that reminder. Jan Pry, would you like to provide any comments?
My comment would be, I've been on the commission since around 2017. And you've heard my history. One of the things that I do is I don't talk a lot. I listen to other people and I say something when needs to be said. I agree with the commission, the city council, that the chairman should be a resident of Palm Springs. And if I became vice chair, I would work closely with them. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Corcoran, would you like to provide any comments?
Well, first of all, let me just say that I think that any of the three of us would be a good candidate for this. So I know Todd and Jan and I have respect for what they do. My passion for this is trying to be a big advocate for the city. And I think the airport is in all of its great qualities, still has a great opportunity to improve. I'm especially passionate about bringing local vendors into the airport, and we've had to postpone that for a couple of years because of COVID. I'm passionate about seeing that through. And I also think that paying attention to the overall customer experience and how people experience the airport coming and going should be a real priority. We have some capital projects that I think are going to improve the overall experience in the airport. And I think our ability to shepherd through all of that is really critical. And I'm passionate about that. I use the airport a lot because for business, and want to be part of anything that's going to make it better. So that's what I'm looking for in whatever role I'd play on this commission.
Thank you. And Mr. Burke.
I'd like to echo what Kevin said. I think both Jan and Kevin would be excellent candidates for vice chair. So I'm certainly in good company. I think one of the things you should know about me is, as evidenced this evening, I'm not afraid to speak my mind. And there's a fly on my nose. I feel like Mike Pence. I spent 25 years in the aviation industry. I know it well. I'm passionate about what good looks like, what excellent looks like. I'm a very high user of the system. I love this town, and I love the gem of an airport that we have. I'm proud to have served on this commission for the last 2 years and to have been a part of the marketing committee, and particularly a part of the committee that chose the new agency who's helping guide our marketing department as we try to attract new users of this beautiful airport. So I thank you for your time, and I appreciate you bringing that up to the new commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, as I mentioned, I'll ask for all of those in favor of appointing Jan Pry to vice chair, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say no.
Well,
No.
is it a,
I'm trying to count the number of no's to see if that wins. So if you are voting no, please be clear, raise your hand if you could.
May I suggest, because we have other people to vote for, that can we just count the yeses? No?
It's really about the no's. So
Okay.
yeah, so all those who are voting no, please raise your hand. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we're going to need to do a roll call vote.
Okay.
There's 19 members and I'm only seeing 7 people vote. So Commissioner Adams, this is for the appointment of Jan Pre. How do you vote?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner,
Lynn. Commissioner Breslin?
No.
No. Commissioner Budillo?
No.
Burke?
Abstain?
Oh, I would. should have done that.
Corcoran?
No.
Dada?
No.
Feltman?
No.
Freymuth?
No.
Hedrick?
Yes.
Cohen?
No.
Hughes?
No.
Martin?
absent.
Miller? Commissioner Miller? Philbrook?
Abstain, sorry.
So at this point, the motion has failed, so we can move on to the next candidate. Commissioner to be appointed to vice chair. I'll begin with Adams.
Excuse me, can you clarify who we're voting for? I didn't
Yes,
hear.
I'm sorry. This is for Mr. Corcoran.
All right, thank you.
I'll say yes.
Breslin,
No.
Budillo,
Yes.
Burke,
Abstain?
Corcoran,
Yes.
Dada,
Yes.
Feltman,
Yes.
Freymuth,
Yes.
Hedrick,
Yes.
Hohen,
Yes.
Hughes,
Yes.
Miller.
Abstain?
Was Martin here? I'm sorry.
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Philbrook,
No.
Pre,
Aye.
Hi, yes.
Schmitz,
Yes.
Suero,
Yes.
and Will. Mr. Will?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Mr. Corcoran is elected as vice chair. And I congratulate Mr. Corcoran and Aftab Dada on your appointments as chair and vice chair. Congratulations.
Thank you, Anthony.
Mr. Dada, before I turn it over, I'm just end it by asking for a motion to accept the election results.
So moved.
Motion by Pre, seconded by Hedrick, and I'll ask Nadia to take roll call vote. And I appreciate all of your time and effort for this process. Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony.
I'm sorry, we're doing roll call.
Yes, roll call is needed.
Okay. Adams,
Yes, accept.
Breslin,
Yes. Or abstain.
Budillo,
Yes.
Burke,
Yes.
Corcoran,
Yes.
Dada,
Yes.
Feltman,
Yes.
Freeman,
Yes.
Hedrick,
Yes.
Hearn, Hughes,
Yes.
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Philbrook,
Yes.
Pye,
Yes.
Wheel? Mr. Thomas Wheel? Okay. Schmitz
Yes.
and Suero.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Anthony. Appreciate it. Chairman Dada, I believe the agenda is yours to follow for the rest of the meeting.
Thank you, Ulysses. I want to apologize that I've got some issues with my throat. So my apologies, but at this time, I would like to entertain a motion to accept the agenda that everyone has.
So moved.
So we have a
Second.
motion from Peter.
Yes.
Need a second, please.
Second.
Any changes to the agenda? Seeing none, all in favor?
Are you sharing?
I'm sorry. Did I hear anything different? All in favor of accepting the agenda?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any abstention? All right, we move on to our next item, which is the public comments. And it's limited to 3 minutes on any subject within the purview of the commission. And Nadia, do we have anyone that is registered to speak this evening?
Yes, Chairman Dada, we have Mr. Bernstein, who is on video right now.
Terrific. Jeffrey Bernstein, you have 3 minutes, so move forward.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Dada, Vice Chair Corcoran, Mr. Director, Commissioners and staff. My name is Jeffrey Bernstein, owner of Destination PSP, a local retail store, brand, and manufacturer. As many of you know, prior to the pandemic, I came to your meetings often to speak about the importance of having a greater presence of local brands and businesses at the Palm Springs Airport. The airport is a true asset to our valley, convenient, attractive, historically significant, easy to navigate, and where everyone who works there is friendly and helpful. Flying in and out of our airport is far preferable to any airport in the country, and yet the concessions do not represent the local flavor of the Coachella Valley. I know that HMS Host and Parodies came into Palm Springs some 20 years ago at a time when there were few other options. Since 2014, I've been speaking to the Commission and the Palm Springs City Council about increasing local presence. A few years ago, the Commission and the airport management team pushed forward the process of a new RFP for concessions, after many meetings, discussions, consultants, reports, etc. The existing contracts were given limited extensions until the RFP arrived. That RFP was issued in February 2020, just before the pandemic hit, and it was subsequently withdrawn. Fortunately for all, when Host left the airport, Parodies came in and created an effective stopgap measure. They even brought in a local coffee brand. However, their contract expires in the spring of 2023. We know from experience that if there's any change to the concessions, it will take at least a year from when a new RFP is issued. Things are finally beginning to look up for travel, and especially our airport. Having concessions that reflect the best assets of our valley, retail, restaurants, brands, events, attractions, etc., will be more important than ever. That's what's happening at almost every other airport in the country now. As the new fiscal year and season begins, I would urge the Commission to revisit the RFP as soon as possible. The sooner it is issued, whether any changes are made or not, the better it will be for all involved to ensure that the Palm Springs Airport only continues to get better and better. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey Bernstein. We do appreciate you taking the time to speak to us. Any other registered speakers, Nadia?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much. We move on, and I will entertain a motion for the approval of the June 16 meetings. Sorry, yes, 16.
So move.
We have a motion. I will also entertain second.
Second.
Any further discussion, changes? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstention?
I abstain.
All right, we have one abstention. All right, thank
Two
you. We
abstain.
move on. Sorry,
Sorry.
2 abstentions.
or 2 abstention. All right, we move on to introductions and presentation. The subject is pre-security automated retail concept. I
Thank you.
will let Ulysses take over from here.
Thank you, Chairman Dada. Appreciate it. Congratulations. There are no introductions this evening besides the 2 commissioners that were introduced earlier this evening. But before Pam Brown from Paradies presents a new automated retail concept that Paradies has been approved to proceed with, I'm going to provide some background for new commissioners and those who have been around for a little while. Currently, there are no open concessions before TSA screening, that is in the public lobby. There are only 2 old school vending machines located by baggage claim, offering limited drinks and packaged snacks. So how did we get here? At the start of the ticketing wing renovation project in March of 2020, the Gift and News retail store was closed so we could install temporary ticket counters for airlines to use during construction. Then the Celebrity Bistro Bar and Starbucks closed when HMS Hosts terminated their concessions agreement 1 year ago in July. So there hasn't been any pre-security concessions in the public lobby for the last 12 months. As I shared at last month's meeting, at the airport's request, Paradies stepped up to fill the void created by HMS's departure when passenger traffic was at its lowest last summer. Paradies moved quickly and opened the Santa Rosa Kitchen and Spirits in November, Palm Springs Coffee House in December, and opened the Palm Springs Wine Bar in March. Paradies is also planning to open Buzz by Barfly in the regional concourse, hopefully in October. As the number of passengers continue to grow, airport staff in Paradies identified a pre-security concessions opportunity, which Paradies has been approved to proceed with. It is important to keep the following items in mind. All concessions, including this concept, will be replaced as part of a new concessions agreement shortly after May 2023. The City Council amended the concessions agreement with Paradies in October of 2021 to include food and beverage, along with retail, gift, and news. The term of the agreement was extended for 23 months and expires at the end of April of 2023, which is only 21 months away. As part of the amendment, Paradies agreed to invest $500,000 to renovate specific locations: the Santa Rosa Kitchen and Spirits, Palm Springs Coffee House, and Palm Springs Wine Bar. Paradies will renovate the old tap room in the RJ Concourse for Buzz by Barfly without any impact to the current agreement. And the required renovations for this new concept will also be done without any impact to the current agreement. The following factors were important in evaluating and approving this concept: lower passenger traffic when this concept was first presented and evaluated a few months ago, less than 24 months for Paradies to amortize the cost of any capital improvements and equipment, desire to keep capital improvement costs reasonable due to the remaining short term, provide a better selection of items than those offered through the current vending machines, open to customers from at least 5 a.m. until at least the last departure, and if possible, until the last arrival. Currently in July, the last departure is scheduled for 6:25 p.m. and the last arrival is at 11:36 p.m. And there are 9 arrivals scheduled after 6:25 p.m. with 5 flights between 8 p.m. and 8:45. So it makes it real challenging for staffing for the concessions to remain open with staffing with such few activities after the last departure. This concept may also be installed at the Bono Concourse for the benefits of passengers and employees after all other concessions close for the evening following the last departure. And according to Paradies, this concept has been successfully deployed at other airports. So at this time, I'm going to ask Pam Brown to present the automated retail concept.
Excuse me, Ulysses, I'm working to get my my camera covered here, and it's the way this thing is set out is not cooperating with me. The more button keeps coming up when I am covering the camera when I try to undo it. Nadia, is that something you can do? Can you turn my camera on?
No, let me double check. Hold on.
Maybe if I go down to the bottom here, I apologize, our default
Yes,
program.
yes. There we go.
Oh, great. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you and congratulations, Chairman Dada, and thank you to all of the commissioners for inviting us to join today. We very much appreciate it. I want to be sure, is my screen sharing currently?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Right, one moment. Again, a little bit unfamiliar with this, but I'm almost there. This should do it. And then I will take us to a full view.
There we go.
There we go. Thank you so much. Ulysses, at your request, I'll give you all a quick briefing. We're very excited about the concept. The BuzzDat barfly concept that we've presented to you before is well underway. We were a little concerned about equipment delays. As you all may know, supply chain challenges have kind of become the norm. But we only have one piece of equipment that we're really waiting on, and that is supposed to ship 8/27, which would be more than and the equipment is the last thing to go in. So that will give us plenty of time. We're well on track for our opening first week of October. So we're very excited. Our general contractor we have a fully executed contract. He's ready to roll. Someone we've worked with before, as have others here at Palm Springs International. So he knows the airport and he understands the city's process as well. Selena, our construction manager, will be there with him on the 29th. So that's a week from tomorrow for final walkthrough as we prep. So we're very excited to get that rolling, and thank you again for that opportunity. And I'd like to just show you what we're looking at here. These are smart markets. The vendor that we use is called Avanti, and part of the reason for that is they seem to be well ahead of others in terms of the technology, their capabilities for reporting and other things that we need here at the airport. So I will take a quick look. Obviously, what we're looking at here, the Avanti markets, these are 24/7. The nice thing is this is not traditional vending. It's a scan and go, scan your credit card, choose your items, walk away. If you take something off, maybe you want to look at the label, what are the ingredients or any number of things. If you don't care for it, you place it back on the shelf and it takes it out of your cart, so to speak. We've deployed this already at Savannah. It's been very, very popular, and we have not had any issues or concerns. The other thing that we like is any customer support that's needed, even if it's just how do I use this, get comfortable with this, is provided on site by our own people. So if there were to be a payment issue, and we've yet to see that, it's typically someone just needs some assistance, a walk through how to use it. But the number that they call reaches our own people. Even after hours, it's our help desk. So that's really nice. It will also enable us to put up a sign, because we can't keep everything that we might have in a typical store here. We can put a sign up that says, if there's something you need and you don't see here, please call this number, and it'll ring through to the manager on duty. And if we need to bring something to someone pre-security or just assure them that once they get through security, they'll be able to get that item, we can do that as well. So a lot of high touch for an automated type solution. These two units will be I'm sorry, Ulysses.
The screenshot that I'm seeing is 3 bullet points. Have you intended to move forward? And
Is this better?
yes, thank you.
Okay, yeah, I was just giving explanation. Sorry about that. This is similar to what they will look like. You can see the automated, the payment center there, the little POS. You can see where the coffee machine will be placed, but I've got some better options for you to look at here. This is the current space that we'll be working in. You can see our former, the exterior with the gates down. This is a former Starbucks, and then here it is with the gates open. Here are a couple of designs we wanted to run by you to get feedback, see what you guys prefer. in terms of some customization, a little bit of styling to the units. What will be in the units is primarily the grab and go beverages and snacks, bottled and then packaged beverages, but also some fresh foods options. So when you think of somebody, a 4 a.m. Or even earlier ramp worker who shows up, maybe a ground transportation, an overnight parking attendant who wants to get a cup of coffee, we will be featuring Coachella Valley coffee. These are fresh brewed, what we call bean to cup. The beans are ground. The coffee is brewed on a per cup basis for each person. This is an example of the grab and go food options. The company we use is called Fresh and Ready. But again, that means that overnight parking attendant can get a sandwich or a wrap. A lot of grab and go, of course, goes on the aircraft with people. This is, we're doing more and more of this pre-security. Even if we have a staff location in a bigger airport, we're finding that there's still that gap in hours and people may be there at unusual times, as well as an airport like yours, where we've got, here's a nicer picture of the coffee selection, where we have a big gap between the last departure and the last arrival of the evening, and making sure someone can get a bottle of water. Maybe they've got a bit of a drive, they want a cup of coffee, we'll be able to provide those things for them. So it's 24/7, nice for the employees, especially pre-security, because not everybody can get through security. Here are the locations on the map. You can see the pre-security location there in the lobby. That'll have obviously the larger selection. And then upstairs, snacks and beverages in the Bono Concourse. And that's it. Any questions?
Great presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I could, and I know I'm a little off topic here, but I just wanted to endorse what Mr. Bernstein had to say. We are all ready for a new opportunity, obviously with a 20-plus-year-old contract that's been extended in increments. It's been difficult to really reconcept and reflect what we would like to show here, our best foot forward. We were very excited when this came out in early 2020. And we've all, of course, been riding out the storm. We do thank you for this opportunity. With the opening of the Buzzed at Barfly, we will be well over our $510,000 budget, but we think it's well worth it. Folks have been good to us and the performance has been good. We've managed to work through some challenges in terms of kitchen capacity. So we think we're doing a pretty good job of serving folks at a near 2019 levels. So congratulations to the airport for that. And thank you again, Mr. Bernstein. We look forward to talking soon.
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple questions if you don't mind.
Please.
Thank you. What's the process or what is the schedule for refreshing things like the sandwiches and the snacks and that sort of thing? Because I've noticed in other operations at other airports that I have traveled to, quite a bit of time, the sandwiches are expired and the snacks are expired. So what is there a set schedule? Want to make sure that the best presentation of food products is there.
Yeah, especially with fresh products. We have an outstanding food safety officer, Ozzy, who keeps us really on top of that and very stringent things. But because the nice thing about these machines is we're not reliant on a third party. Our own people restock these shelves, whether it's convenience. The other thing that gives us is flexibility. If we think we will have a few other travel essentials here, is it phone chargers or headphones, things that people look for? They generally look for those things more post-security, but we'll work with the airport staff to determine what those few other items are. But it gives us the flexibility because we'll be replenishing daily. It'll be primarily, we know from our inventory systems what the most popular items are. So of course we'll focus on those, but the bottom line is these will be replenished and addressed on a daily basis, those food items kept fresh as well. And with Fresh and Ready, we really have to do that. As you know, our grab and go upstairs is fairly similar in that it is fresh. We're looking actually to start hopefully producing once the Buzzed at Barfly space and the RJ is open, that we'll have the capacity maybe to start doing some of those fresh salads and things from our on-site kitchen, like the ones we sell. We also have a grab and go selection at Santa Rosa kitchen upstairs. So we'd like, and we'll sell those as well in the Buzzed at Barfly. We're going to work to see if we can't do that as well in some of the vending opportunities. For now, we'll use Fresh and Ready because we like their systems and their products.
And my second question is, what about trash and napkin facilities? I didn't see in the diagram where that was located.
They are typically, see, I can't tell if that's a microwave, but under the napkin dispenser is typically adjacent to the coffee maker, since that's sort of a real-time thing. I think if you look, I don't know if you can see my pointer here, but generally somewhere in this vicinity, there will be a napkin dispenser. And then I would imagine the under counter at the coffee machine. I know it's usually an under counter is where the trash receptacle will be. We can always add trash receptacles. Of course, you see there's a little space here, but typically that's where they're located.
Right, I just wanted to make sure that that was included because it's, we don't want to see trash up and down the concourses, you know, so, okay.
Yeah, and that's the other reason we need a solution that we staff, because we're going to have to wipe those things down several times a day. Just little coffee spills and things like that. Nobody wants that to be unsightly. Fingerprints on the doors, and especially in a COVID era. So we have a regular schedule that those have to be addressed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from any other commissioners? Seeing none, thank you again for the great presentation, and we're looking forward to your new proposal and the concept and see how that turns out.
Yes, yes. We hope to get this installed very soon. And I hope I get to meet some of you in person. We're hoping to do a nice event. That wasn't possible when we opened Santa Rosa Kitchen because of COVID, but hopefully things continue to look up, and sometime in October, we'll all get to meet in person for the opening of the Buzzed by Barfly soon.
And I can guarantee you the commissioners would love and join for that event.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
You bet.
Having said that, we move on to our city manager's report, Justin Clifton.
Justin put a message in saying he had to leave.
Had to leave for a 6 o'clock meeting.
All right, we will move on now back to our executive director, Ulysses Aguirre.
Thank you, Chairman Dada. First item, just want to hope not surprise anybody with this, but last month the airport had the busiest June in its history. And so with that, there were 129,872 total passengers passed through the airport last month. That was 23.3% more passengers than June of 2019, which had previously been the busiest month, the busiest June in the airport's history. And the good news is that the first half of July has also been very busy. Second, the Canadian government started relaxing some of its restrictions for air travelers entering Canada. They relaxed some of the restrictions for Canadian citizens and residents starting July 5th. Also, this past Monday, Canada announced that it is going to relax some of its restrictions for US citizens and permanent residents traveling to Canada starting August 9th. It also announced that international flights will be permitted to land at 5 additional Canadian airports. Information on the specific changes and remaining requirements can be found through the Public Health Agency of Canada at www.canada.ca. And the timing couldn't be any better for the airport, as it provides both airlines and potential passengers an opportunity to plan for the upcoming year. We believe that this will result in strong seasonal passenger traffic to and from Canada, similar to pre-COVID. Coupled with the recent increase in passenger traffic, Palm Springs should continue to experience strong passenger traffic through the upcoming peak season. Next item is to assist airport tenants and stakeholders. The airport is planning to hold a job fair on August 24th at the Convention Center. The airport is currently taking signups from potential companies. And assuming enough companies sign up, the airport will use its social media platforms and will advertise locally to get the word out and hopefully drive a high attendance at the job fair for our stakeholders and tenants. We are working with the city council as well as the city manager's office to put together a celebration for completion of the Ticket Wing renovation project. We are working around the council going dark in August and maybe not the availability we would hope for. Harry's going to give the status of the project in a couple of minutes, but I just want you to know that as soon as we have a pretty firm date based on council's availability, we will share it with the commissioners. So hopefully you can save that date and you can hopefully be here in person for that celebration. So right now we are targeting probably somewhere toward the latter half of August or first part of September. So more information to come going forward. Last item I had before I turn it over to Harry, Victoria, and Daniel is that the approved fiscal year 2021-2022 budget, which started July 1st, included 2 additional positions and unfreezing 3 positions from last year. We are excited that recruitment for these positions is actively underway. One of the positions that was unfrozen was the Assistant Airport Director, and I'm happy to announce that Harry Barrett was promoted to Assistant Airport Director effective July 1st. Since Harry joined the airport staff in April of 2020, he has demonstrated that he has the experience, skill, knowledge, and ability to succeed in this new position. So congratulations to Harry. We will in turn recruit to backfill Harry's previous position to manage the airport's maintenance division, although it will be at a lower job classification level. So at this time, I'm going to ask Harry to give an overview regarding projects and operations, followed by Victoria with the budget and finance, and then Daniel with the marketing update. Harry?
Thank you, Ulysses. Let me share my screen here.
Harry, congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate that. And this will be a very, very brief update as we're wrapping up at least one of these projects. I'll start with the ticketing wing renovation project. The last time we spoke, I mentioned that we were working on the south ticketing wing, which included both the public areas and the areas back of house, the ATO offices and ticketing offices for the air carriers. We're still underway in that area. That project is expected to be completed on August 12th, which would then wrap up the entire project for us. On June 16th, our last meeting, this is what it kind of looked like in the south ticketing wing. There was still a lot going on in terms of ceiling work. The floor was still under demo. There was really no work or fixtures included in that area. This is what it looks like today. So as you can see, the ceiling work is completely finished, including rerouting of the HVAC system, as well as some of the conduits and wiring for the electricity. The ticket counters have been installed. They're right here under these covers. So they're all installed, ready to go for the airlines to move in, as well as the baggage handling belt servicing the south end of the terminal. The flooring has been, the asphalt for the flooring and concrete for the flooring has been laid. It's completely laid. We expect the carpeting to go in fairly soon for that area of the terminal. The lighting is mostly installed. You see a couple of areas here where there are wires sticking out. That's not for the lighting, that's more for the fire system, but everything else has been installed for the lighting. The lobby wall tile, you can see by my pointer, we installed lobby wall tile this last week, so that's mostly been completed. And then the airline ticketing offices have been completed, although they are currently not under power, so I don't have good photos of that. Then on to the passenger boarding bridge replacement project. That's the project that we started last month. We did complete 2 bridges. Gate 4 was completed last week. It went under commissioning. It went operational yesterday. So the airline is actively using that. Gate 9 is currently under commissioning. We expect that to be operational next week. And we took today Gate 11 out of commission for replacement. We swapped that in the schedule with Gate 7 just due to some operational considerations. We were concerned about some of the impacts to the airlines, and we are keeping a very close eye on how that impacts the airline schedules. Again, this is what the old bridges look like. This is Gate 4. This is one of the new bridges. You can see it has a new rotunda and new cleaner look. It's got safety elements around the wheels and tires. Also has safety elements within. You can see on the right side of the slide here that we've got some people training on that. They went through training last week and were undergoing training yesterday as well to be able to operate that. This comes with a new upgraded HDMI console. Other safety features, that they do have cameras installed, so we can now see, you know, when we're moving the boarding bridge, what it looks like behind us, or if there is anything prohibiting us from moving it, we get that alert pretty quickly. And that's where we are. Again, that project is running ahead of schedule right now, about a week ahead of schedule. We do anticipate that going into the fall and winter. We'll go from replacing 2 bridges at a time to 1 bridge at a time, but we hope to have that wrapped up late November, early December. Are there any questions? All right, thank you.
All right, Ulysses, we're gonna move on to Daniel Meyer.
No, we're going to have Victoria give the budget and finance first.
Great. Victoria, the show is all yours.
Okay, thank you, Chairman Dada, and good evening, members of the commission. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, can you see it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, this presentation is for the June 2021 financials for the Palm Springs International Airport. Slide 2 is a review of the airport's revenues. The year-to-date customer facility charge revenues are about 94% of the budget amount of $1.45 million. The current revenue for the passenger facility charges are roughly 83% of the budgeted $2.6 million. The airport's maintenance and operations revenue is around 89% of the budgeted $25.5 million. Below is the detail of Fund 415. The 4 key revenue generating accounts are the airport rental car, which exceeded the budgeted amount of $3.2 million by an additional $2 million. The scheduled landing fees exceeded the budgeted $1.3 million by approximately $780,000. The terminal airline space is at approximately 128% of the $1.5 million budget. This account increased by approximately $146,000 when compared to prior months. Lastly, the leased parking generated $2.7 million in revenue, which is about $374,000 more than the main numbers. Oops, sorry. All right. I did want to point out that we did have a comparison for fiscal year 2019 on here. And to compare fiscal year 21 to 2019, the land rental and terminal airline revenues exceeded 2019 numbers. But those were the only areas that really exceeded the numbers for 2019. Fund 416, the airport improvement revenue, is at approximately 105 of the budgeted amount of $15.5 million. Now to review the expenditures, Fund 405 has no change in expenditures for June. There is a change to the financial summary that includes the debt service payments totaling approximately $2.4 million. Fund 415 is showing the airport operations and maintenance is about 77% of the budgeted 25.9 million. Lastly, Fund 416 shows the expenditures are about 26% of the budget, 60 million. Slide 6 is an overview of the revenue versus expenditures. For the period ending June 30th, 2021, the CFC, O&M, and capital project funds had a surplus as revenues exceeded expenditures. The PSC debt service payment and interest was expensed in June, showing a net spending of $342,000. However, the cash with fiscal agent reserve account covered the debt service payment. Lastly is the airport's cash summary showing the restricted and airport O&M unrestricted funds. The cash flow for Fund 405 increased by about $209,000 compared to prior month. Fund 410 increased by approximately $22,000. Fund 415's cash flow decreased by $165,000 when compared to prior period due to a timing of payables and cash receipts. And Fund 416's cash flow increased by about $1 million. Slide 8 shows a comparison of the enplaned, deplaned, and total passengers for fiscal year 21 to fiscal year 19. Overall, fiscal year 21 numbers are 47% lower than 2019 numbers. That concludes my presentation. Do you have any questions?
Any questions from any of the commissioners?
Commissioner or Chairperson, I've got a question. Why was the debt service off?
Oh, yes. So when I originally pulled the reports, when I prepared it, the debt service payments had not posted yet. So when I went on and looked again, because I knew it was supposed to happen in June, they had posted. So that's why I went ahead and updated the report.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
One more question. Are there monthly deposits to the P&I account, or do you just make a semi-annual deposit?
For the debt
To the fiscal, yeah, to the fiscal agent.
Yes, there is monthly deposit.
Okay, so you did not touch the debt service reserve fund itself?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question. And that's on Fund 415. Are we anticipating additional revenue coming in via the CARES Act?
We do still have the CARES Act funds. There isn't a need at this time to draw down on the CARES Act funds, but we do have a plan to utilize that if there is a need for it.
Okay.
Thank you, Victoria, for a great report. If there are no other questions, we move on to Daniel Meyer.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Great to see you guys again. Let me get my screen shared real quick for you all. Oh, there's go. There we go. Okay. Are you guys seeing the main presentation or the presenter side?
Main one.
Okay, perfect. All right, that's what I wanted. All right. Okay. So a little update. If you guys heard the news last week, we landed our third Canadian airline. So I'm excited about that. Flair Airlines is coming to Palm Springs. It's going to start on Halloween. We're going to operate twice weekly to Vancouver. They'll be the third airline operating on that route. They are seasonal to start, but just seeing how things go in the valley, they may explore doing other routes and possibly going to year-round service as well. So fingers crossed on that one. And just want to put a little note out there. Some of you may recall a Flair Airlines that served Palm Springs a few years ago and left. This is actually not the same Flair. Different entity, I guess, bought that airline, all the equipment, new logo, new livery, new management team. So technically a different airline, but with the same name. We welcome the town in Halloween. So now that brings us to 12 total airlines serving Palm Springs, but we're still the same amount of nonstop routes, 29 airports in the United States and 5 airports in Canada in season. Continuing on with the air service update, we've got some information from Delta. They're not going to be returning their Minneapolis service this year. They're going to wait until fall of 22 and to bring that back. That is due to staffing shortages, primarily a pilot shortage. So it's not the same pilot shortage that was going on before the pandemic. It's actually a new one. This is not, and Delta is not the only airline experiencing problems with this. So with this pilot shortages now, as a result of COVID, many airlines accelerated their fleet retirements. Accelerated retirements of the aircraft that were maybe planned to be retired maybe 3 to 5 years. They got retired last year instead. So now they're having to take all those pilots and requalify them on new fleet types. So say a pilot put MD-80, they're now getting requalified to fly a Boeing 737. That is taking time, and so there are some choke points in the training capabilities, and so the airlines are having staff shortage for their pilots because they're having to get so many pilots retrained to get back in the air to meet the demand of air travel as it has returned much more quickly than anybody really anticipated. So as a result, they will not have Minneapolis this year, but we'll be bringing it back in 22. However, Sun Country is set to return with Minneapolis service on September 23rd of this year, so we are not going to be losing access to that part of the country. Delta also is not going to be bringing LAX back this year. Last year, the LAX route was not one that they thought was a network move or for that, but it was really one they needed to find airport to overnight a plane at, one that was cheap and nearby. So Palm Springs is the one that filled that need, and they don't need to do it this year. There is parking constraints at LAX, and they don't have those problems now. However, United is going to continue to run LAX. That is set to return on Halloween as well. So we will continue to have LAX service. We are not losing that dot on our route map. Delta has not loaded the schedules for Atlanta, but that should be loaded in the next 2 to 3 weeks. The same pilot staffing issues is causing the delay of that one. I believe previously Atlanta ran in 2019, I think it was 5 times a week. It may be down just 2 or 3 times a week this year, this coming season, simply due to the staffing shortages. And we are not the only airport that's going to see that going on. So they'll be spreading that around a little bit. JetBlue now has Fort Lauderdale set to start in March 16th of this year. They previously had pushed it back to December 16th of this year. They previously had pushed that to March of 22. They brought that back forward. So hopefully that will go ahead and get launched this year. I know it's kind of been a bit of a moving target with that Fort Lauderdale route for us. And again, we're also having ongoing conversations with airlines and working to recruit more new airlines and continue to discuss converting existing routes to year-round with existing carriers, taking our seasonal routes to more year-round routes and things like that. So those will continue being going on and going forward. Little update on the scheduled departing seats. Things are still looking great and more on the up and up. As you guys know, July, we were up. I gotta move real quick so I can see. In July, we have over a 50% increase in available departing seats. August is up over 48%, over 86,000. August of 2019, we had a little over 58,000 available departing seats. And September is coming at nearly 100,000 available departing seats, which is a 60.9% increase over September of 2019. So things are doing great. As Ulysses mentioned earlier, June was a record-breaking month for us for passenger. As far as the month of June goes, July is tracking very well. And it looks like it's coming ahead of July 2019 too. And then September, it's looking great. So, the seats are there, and so far passengers are showing up to fill them. So let's hope that trend continues. Marketing advertising, the Marcom plan is still in progress. They're working on that, so no updates on that at this time. Advertising, we're promoting flying local, saving time, and by flying local, coming from Palm Springs and avoiding, best of all, LA traffic, because we know none of us like dealing with that. So we're also including avoiding the LA traffic mess in some of our advertising and promotions now. On radio, we continue digital, the search engine marketing, also social. We have billboards up as well. Most of the billboards are concentrating on advertising all the many new routes we have starting this fall. Radio includes that as well, but also it includes us information on the airport overall, the existing routes we've had, and just the importance of flying local. These ads are currently planned to be running through mid-September, and then once we have the completed Marcom plan back, which should be early September, then we'll use that to guide us in building our media plan for the remainder of the year. So I think some other things in the marketing arena, some community relations. I'm going to be participating on a webinar with Palm Springs Life magazine and they have doing a series called The Desert We Want, and they're going to have a transportation segment. So they've invited the airport to be part of that, and so I have accepted. No scheduled date for that just yet. They should be sometime, I think, in September or possibly October. We're also working on some more promotions. Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority reached out to us a few weeks ago, and they have offered a wonderful prize package with a hotel stay, helicopter tour of the Strip, show tickets for us to give away. Southwest is planning to provide 2 round-trip tickets to Vegas for this promotion. So hopefully we'll have that launch in the next couple of weeks. We'll be using that to promote our service to Las Vegas, making sure that area residents know we do have the nonstop route and they're able to fly from Palm Springs to Vegas instead of driving to another airport. And that would be the end of my presentation. If there's any questions from anybody.
Yeah, I have questions.
Sure.
Thank you. So on the LA flights or flight, is there more than one a day?
No, it's a morning departure and evening return.
Okay, so it's kind of hard to do marketing communication saying you can kind of get to LA easily when we have one kind of flight a day. It's kind of sad.
What do you mean? I'm not sure I understand.
Well, you said in the marketing communications campaign, we were going to tell people that this is an easy way to get to LA without the traffic.
No. We're advertising the importance of flying local and how easy it is to fly from Palm Springs and avoid traffic on the highway to Los Angeles, not flying to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So encouraging people to we're encouraging people to fly local instead of getting in their car and going to another airport.
Okay, well, hopefully someday we'll have more, and I know this is not a Daniel issue per se, but that we have more robust service to LA as a gateway to lots of other places. It's kind of ironic. It's our largest market, our closest market, and our air connections are paltry. And I know we're dealing with post-COVID. And so, you know, that drives everything, but I hope we will have more robust LA service in the future. My other question is on the marketing communications plan. Can you give us a timeline on when that will be ready and go into market so we can spend some of this money?
As I mentioned just a bit ago, it's going to be completed first part of September.
Is that, and is that, what's the implementation timeline?
That will come with the plan when we get it. So that's not finalized yet, but no, I've already got advertising going and we'll continue going on. Just getting the advertising going, it'll be guided by the plan once that comes through. I'm just getting advertising now through September or early September. So we have things going now until we get that plan. Once we get the plan, then we'll go forward with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then on the LAX route too, also with having an early morning departure, the flight gets into LAX pretty early for good connections, good connectivity throughout the country, and then obviously Trans-Pacific when those flights do return. And then also having the evening return flight from LAX also allows people to connect easily to Palm Springs through LA. So it's really timed well to hit some of their good banks for United. So I don't think it's gonna be too much of a deal. Obviously more frequency does bode well, a little bit better for connections, especially if it's with various airlines. But I still think overall our schedule is fairly pretty good compared to with the timing of the flights at least.
Any other questions for Daniel?
Yes, I do. Daniel, just a quick question. Did Southwest ever make an application for funding per our incentive program?
Yeah, they sent it. When they first started, yes, they sent an email for some incentives on the routes that did qualify.
And what have we spent on it so far?
I would have to get back to you on that.
I mean, just ballpark,
Again, a ballpark number. They have qualified for waived landing fees and some return fees on certain of the routes. I believe Oakland and Denver were the two. I'd have to go back and recalculate it. I don't have a number off the top of my head.
Okay, could you get that to me?
Sure.
Thank you.
Daniel, Patricia here. Hi. I was just curious, do you have any recommendations for the marketing committee of how we can complement the direction when there is some direction that Aviatrix may be going in, whether it's a look at the surveys or a piece that you might appreciate some help from the marketing committee?
None that I can think of right now, but that could probably change once everything's complete and we have a plan back and I've seen it.
Well, we look forward to that.
Yeah, me too. Thank you. But thank you for your offer. I definitely appreciate it. So thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Seeing none, Daniel, we expect some frequency for the LA.
I want more frequency and I want more year-round service. Those are my goals.
Great goals. All right, thank you for the presentation. Ulysses, do you have anything else before we move on to discussion items?
No, sir. Nothing else.
Thank you so much. For discussion items, I know 11A is the boxing club. I will highly recommend, knowing that our city manager is not present, that we delay this item till our next meeting. Because I won't be able to answer any questions, neither anyone else.
Well, I'm a little concerned with that because in all likelihood, that will put us into September. So I think maybe that gets a little too delayed, and we don't really need the city manager here. I think the discussion could take place anyway. It's just my observation.
Well, even if we discuss it, we really don't know what's the final outcome from our city council. So unless Ulysses can answer some questions, or anybody else that's on this commission that can answer, I think delaying it till September will be appropriate.
But if we object, cannot we notify the city council of the airport commission's objection about moving forward with that location?
Well, we can always send a memorandum to the city council that the airport commissioners discussed this agenda item, and here is our outcome.
Because come September, that might be too late. They could have moved forward with another decision, or with moving forward with that location.
Well,
I'm more concerned that I think this is an issue that directly affects the airport, and never mind what the city is going to do, because they probably have already made the decision. But I think it is still incumbent upon the airport commission to express their views. And so I think that discussion should go forward.
Well, if that's the case, I'll open up this item on the floor.
Yeah, my question would be, has the commission had the opportunity to pass a resolution or whatever the format would be to express its opposition or to this project?
No, I don't think we've done that. And this is, if all the commissioners feel, all we can do at this time is send our mayor and city council and copy our city manager what we discussed and what we would like to see.
Well, I was not present at the last meeting, but I read the minutes, and it seemed to me that that there was a lot of discussion also about what the obligations or what the responsibilities of the commission are in terms of its role as to, to advising the city council. And there, at the last meeting, there seemed to be the situation where no opportunity would be offered to express that opinion. And so my question then would be, is this the time to have a discussion and to have a consensus as to which way the commission would voice its opinion, basically?
Like I said, we've opened it on the floor. If all the commissioners feel that we should send our voice and our message to our city council, we can very easily do that based on the yay and nay we have today.
Well, I would just to point out that as the airport commission, our concern is only the airport. And we fully understand that the city has other concerns, namely the city in itself, which includes the airport. But I still think this being an airport property, the commission needs to go on record as to how they feel about this. That's my point.
If that's the case, then I would like to see somebody make a motion objecting this location, and would like to see a second, and then we will see what the temperature of the council, of the commission is.
I would make that motion, but I wouldn't really put it in that kind of language that we object to it. But I think I would make a motion, and I don't know how my colleagues feel, that we feel, or I feel, it's not in the best interest of Palm Springs International Airport. That motion I would be happy to make.
So we have a motion from Peter that Peter clearly feels that the location of the boxing club on El Cielo, right across from the airport, is not the ideal location to have the shelter being there.
As far as the airport is concerned, yes.
Correct. So we have a motion. I will entertain a second to Peter's motion.
I'd second it.
So we have a second. Any further discussion?
I have a discussion. We got council member comments in our meeting today, for today. In there are 3 other locations that the council is talking about. Also, we talked about security at the last council meeting. They are doing security. So I don't think that we should just not say the boxing club, but we should say what's close, what we want. There is another opportunity to have something close to the airport. And I think we should consider that when we make an advisory comment.
So we have a comment from Jan that not only we are objecting to the boxing club location, but we would also like to recommend an alternate location.
I amend my motion to include what Jen just said.
Yes, David?
Yeah, I think we kind of need to thread the needle here a little bit. I think it's unfortunate that the city manager is not here right now to continue the discussion. I would like to see, I know we have a problem with the scheduling of a commission meeting, and we're not going to meet in August, but I'm wondering whether one of the committees could request a meeting with 2 members of the council. I know we can't have more than 2 because of Brown Act issues, to have a dialogue with them. They have not been, engaged with the commission directly. And I think that's could be more valuable than just passing a resolution, which I don't know how it's going to be received. I think there's possibly, as Commissioner Pai pointed out, other options that they're looking at. So I just wonder whether we can do a committee meeting that obviously only the committee members could participate because of Brown Act limitations, but where anybody here on the commission could at least be present. That's kind of an alternative scenario.
David, I appreciate your comments, but keep in mind that the city council is dark during the entire month of August, and I know you would like to meet with 2 of the representatives, keep in mind, they have a subcommittee. But if that subcommittee is out of town, where do we go?
I think we should go forward with the motion.
So we have a motion from Peter. Can you repeat your motion?
Yes, we at the Airport Commission do not feel it is in the present locations, plural, under consideration are not in the best interest of Palm Springs International Airport.
And we want to include the other location. Jan, do we have which other two locations are currently being considered?
They're in the council actions report that we received with this agenda.
Does anyone remember what are the two alternate locations?
I think it was.
Nadia, you have any recollection of that?
Let me pull up the agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman Dada, you did see the city manager's chat that said that he would be providing a update on the boxing club for distribution to the commission, correct? So that is forthcoming from the city manager.
Yeah, that's our big dilemma, that we don't have any representation from our city that can give us some directive.
Correct. And I believe the city manager has the authority from the city council to act and negotiate the agreement, but I do not know the details of that. So it'd be great, obviously, to have the city manager present to be able to give that detail and information on which direction he is proceeding with. But without that, I'm not sure. There's many people who do know the specifics about what is proposed and what the timeline is.
Mr. Chair, is it possible just to call a special meeting and invite the Dr. Clifton to attend?
If that's what this commission want, absolutely, we can request, because I have a strong feeling Justin Clifton, being just new in our market, will be working this August.
So it's a great idea.
So
I think the idea is also great.
I'm sorry?
I also agree with Ken. I think we need to hear a little bit more from Justin.
So I will make a counter motion that we schedule a special meeting, full meeting of the Airport Board Commission at the convenience of Dr. Clifton.
I don't think he's a doctor.
I withdraw my motion.
I think he is someplace where I saw it.
Yes, yes, he does have his PhD.
Oh, good to know.
I'm not sure I was heard. I withdraw my motion accordingly.
Thank you, Peter. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So Nadia, we can send out a electronic announcement to the commissioners, and hopefully we can do a doodle calendar and see what's the availability. And I will reach out to Justin tomorrow and check with him his availability.
Very well.
Yes.
Yes.
I would like to suggest that we read from the agenda, the information that's on the will. It's a very thorough thing. They did not make a decision. They are extending it. But before we meet, we need to read that.
Thank you, Jan. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Thank you all. We move on to our September meeting date.
Commissioner Dada, this presumed the going dark in August, but obviously there's going to be a special meeting if it's outside of the third week in August, and we will proceed in that direction. In September, the next scheduled meeting would be on Wednesday, the 15th, and that would conflict with the start of Yom Kippur, which is on the Thursday, the 16th. So with that, just for consideration and of the commission, and the recommendation would be to reschedule the September meeting to maybe sometime earlier on that day, on that same calendar day, or pick another date and a different time. So for your consideration.
Thank you so much, Ulysses, and Nadia, sorry to put so much burden on you, but if you can also send out another calendar invite for the September meeting date.
Okay.
Is there any general guidance of at least try to do it that same day earlier that day, maybe closer to about 4 o'clock? And we just shoot for something instead of trying to try to hit 30 different days.
I will make myself available if that's what everybody wants. So let's plan for maybe 3 or 3:30.
I think a lot of families, Mr. Chairperson, is going to be preparing for things even earlier. I would suggest we move it to a completely separate date. And if we have to keep it on a Wednesday, maybe we do it Wednesday, the 8th. I know that my family prepares for this and we'll be busy most of that afternoon.
We will ask Nadia to take a survey of both the Wednesday before at 5:30 and the Wednesday after at 5:30, and we will start there before identifying a new date and time.
May I just interject? Is it my understanding we're not allowed to have meetings before 5:30 p.m. according to City Council?
Yeah.
That's my understanding of what I recall.
Yes. In speaking with the city clerk, because of the special nature of this one, it would have been acceptable to have this meeting earlier on the same day, but because we're moving to another date, try to keep it after 5:30 for basically to coincide with the desires of the council for greater participation, potentially after 5:30 in the evening.
I will reach out to our city clerk, Anthony Mayor, also tomorrow and see if he can make an exception due to the religious timing.
I'm sorry, the exception that you would be requesting is what, Chairman?
To do it earlier on Wednesday or the week prior to that.
Well, as Commissioner Miller kind of said, I think most of that day on Wednesday the 15th, many families would be busy, so it would be maybe challenging for some participants to take care of be prepared for the holidays and also do the meeting. Commissioner Miller, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And
so can we do it the week prior to that?
We will survey the commission members about the week before at 5:30 and the week after on Wednesday at 5:30, and depending on the respective availability, give us direction on which one is a better choice as a starting point.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairperson, I do have another question. Is that going to be a Zoom meeting or an in-person meeting?
It will be a Zoom meeting.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we move on. Any commissioner requests and reports? I think I would request the same for item number.
Mr. Chairman, I think you overlooked Mr. Budillo, who had the question before.
I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you, Peter. Aftaba and Ulysses, I have a question. Since the commissioners are all here, can't we just do a straw poll to see if the 8th would work, September 8th at 5:30?
I'm good.
No,
I'm good.
May we ask it this way? Who is not available on the 8th at 5:30? Can I hear a voice?
David Feldman.
One, okay.
Jan,
And Jan.
And Jan.
And Jan
and somebody else, and Kathleen, I think, raised her hand.
and Kathleen?
May I
Okay,
remind you that we used to have our meeting the second Wednesday of the week, and we changed it to accommodate the Coachella Valley representative.
okay. And then checking the following Wednesday, which would be the 22nd. Who would not be available on the 22nd?
And
Ken. Anybody else not available on the 22nd? So it appears as if on the 22nd, there would be more people available, or the other way to say it is that there'd be less people not being able to participate.
Well, based on only one hand, naturally, September 22nd would be the date we should select.
That's what it would appear like, unless somebody read the hands differently than I did. Chair, so the recommendation is the September meeting to be the 22nd at 5:30 PM via Zoom.
Terrific. Thank you so much. Item number 13, report of council actions. Any discussion on that? Again, seeing we don't have any representation from our city, I would pass that one too.
Chairman, most of that time, number 13 is pretty much just a reminder of the items that are included in your package that you receive for you to read and to consume, as opposed to a actual report or anything along that line. So there's no action or conversation regarding these.
Got it. Let's move on to item 14, receive and file, 14A and 14B. That's also just for information only.
Correct.
Seeing that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
We all want to stay.
Beautiful. Thank you all, and stay tuned from Nadia.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good month, everybody.
Yep.
Bye.
Take care, guys.
Good night.